Hi everyone, my name is Nanika Edwards and I am a poet. I'm also an artist and a couple other things from Trinidad and Tobago in the Southern Caribbean. Some people from Trinidad may wonder where I'm from, simply because my accent I know is a little different from the typical Trinidadian accent, and that's because I was born in Canada, so my accent is a bit of a mix of the Canadian accent and the Trini accent. So I hope that removes any question marks that any Trinis listening to me may have over their head. Now, today I'm going to be speaking about onomatopoeia. That's a poetic device that is a sound effect. Poets and other creative writers use sound effects to help people hear sounds in their head or to imagine sounds, because when you're reading, the whole experience is partially on the page, but also maybe to a greater extent in the imagination of the reader. Poetic devices really help readers have a vivid interaction, a vivid experience around the words of the writer. The words, when we use poetic devices, then the words don't just stay on the page, they jump into the imagination of the reader and make the words just come alive in a whole new way. And that's what sound effects do. I mean, there are many different poetic devices, but onomatopoeia is one of them. And when we use sound effects, then what we've written almost becomes cinematic in the mind of the reader. It's almost like a movie that plays out and they can hear specific sounds at certain points in our writing. So today I'm going to share a piece of one of my poems to illustrate this point. It's called The Night Owl, and it's in my book Rhyme with Reason Noah's Ark, which is a collection of animal poems that help to teach human psychology. So, the way the animals behave in this book is used to represent the way that people typically think. So, in The Night Owl, there is onomatopoeia, and I'm going to read the first stanza and you're going to hear the sound effect that I use. So here goes. The night owl. I'm sitting on a branch crying, "Who, who, who? Who made the stars and who made the moon? And why do they shine and light up the night? And what can I do to be that bright? Who, who?" All right, did you get the onomatopoeia there? I think it's pretty easy to spot, right? So it's the sound of the owl, right? So a sound goes whoo, whoo, right? That's the sound that an owl makes. So it sounds something like that. So that's the onomatopoeia, just helping readers hear the sound of the owl. Now there's another poetic device in here. I don't know if you spotted it. Yes, it is um well, there are other poetic devices in this stanza. So I wonder if you can figure out what they are. I mean, the thing is, writing is very dynamic. So very often a writer will use many different poetic devices within a small section of writing, okay? So that's what happened in this case. I used several poetic devices. I don't necessarily sit down and say, okay, I'm going to use this poetic device and that poetic device. It just happens organically, very, very naturally. As I'm writing, I would figure out, okay, well, this feels right to me. This is what I'm going to write. This is how I'm going to express myself. And quite naturally, I would use poetic devices without really thinking about it. So we have the onomatopoeia, and then we have something else. Yeah, if you got pun, you're correct. There is a pun. A pun is a play on words that creates double meaning or double entendre, as they say in French, okay? So double meaning. Double means double and entendre means to understand. So double entendre is in this case double meaning. And so let me read the first two lines so that you can get it. I'm sitting on a branch crying, who? Who made the stars and who made the moon? And I'll read the rest of it. And why do they shine and light up the night? And what can I do to be that bright? Who? Okay, so who sounds like who, the question word. So H double O, the sound of the owl, can also sound like WHO. And the owl is asking, who made him? Who made the stars? So the owl is asking a question. Who made the stars and who made the moon, right? And then the stanza ends with who. So it's a sound of the owl, but it's also the sound of the question, who, WHO. There is yet another poetic device in this stanza, and in this poem in general, and in the book Rhyme with Reason in general. Do you know what it is? If you got personification, you are correct. So the owl is really personified. It takes on the attributes and the qualities of an actual person because it's asking a question. It's asking a question. And as we know, animals cannot speak. I mean, in the Bible, you do have instances where animals do speak. But in general, we know that animals don't speak unless maybe it's a parrot, right? But animals don't speak. So this is an example of personification, the owl asking all of these questions and searching for truth, searching for wisdom, which is what this poem is about. So there are three poetic devices here. There's a sound effect or onomatopoeia, there's a pun, and there's personification. I don't think I've left anything out. Let me see. Right, yes. So those are the three. There are three poetic devices in the stanza: the onomatopoeia or the sound effect, who. Then there's a pun or the play on words that creates a double meaning with HOO and WHO. And then there is the personification of the owl, where the owl is asking questions, but we know that animals don't typically ask questions. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I would encourage you to pen a poem today. If you like this video, thank you for subscribing and hitting the like button. Until next time.